bienvenidos a la Daily Hustle. Soy Enrique Byrnes y presidente de esta mejor cerveza. No abate por No Filter Network. Miguelito San Dieguito, not with us today. Will the Thrill Clark, not with us today. But each and every single morning, as you guys know, we're going to come on here and properly salute our boys and, well, each and every one of you. Yes, 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 yes. Woo! Remember this, folks. When we are juiceful, we are useful. And when we are juiceless, we are fucking useless. A very pleasant good morning to you on the 6th day of September 2024. And happy fuck it Friday. Our title sponsor, Bet Online, the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. Bet Online has every slot, every matchup. Excuse me. They do have slots, but they also have every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. Think you know your stuff? Get in on the $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of the $200K. When the game's over, head on over to the Bet Online Casino and get into a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Bet Online. The game starts here. Okay. They've had the promo code BLEEP, so try putting that in there and see if it gets you any special discounts. That's capital BLEAV. The Daily Hustle quote of the day. Listen to this one this morning on this book I'm listening to right now called Win the Day. We don't succeed in spite of the odds. We succeed because of the odds. So this was actually not the direct quote. The quote was a little more complicated. But basically, what the author was saying is that all the time we think or we say, oh, can you believe the odds that we overcame? Can you believe that this person did this despite this and this and this and that and whatever? And he's like, look, the way I look at it is that these people in life are succeeding not in spite of what has happened to them, but because that's happened to them. When we go through obstacles and we overcome those obstacles and we learn how to succeed. I'll use Tom Brady as an example. It's just someone that everybody knows, and I think most of us are very familiar with the story, but this is a guy that went to Sarah High School. He was a freshman quarterback at Sarah High School that I'm not even sure if he was the starter. I think he ended up being the starter because the other guy quit. And then as a sophomore, he kind of becomes the guy. Well, if you followed Sarah football back then, these weren't the Patrick Walshes, who's now the head coach from De La Salle. He's turned things around for Sarah. But this was a team that was not a very good football program at all during the time when Tom was there. So he basically had a 500 record while at Sarah taking a couple crushing defeats, 62-6 being the last one at St. Francis, and wish I was on the other side of the ball, but that's a whole nother story. This isn't about me. This is about the ability to overcome. So then Tom, despite not having great success in high school, at least from a win-loss perspective, gets a scholarship to Michigan. Very talented. Obviously, the scouts saw that. Tom Martinez, I believe, was his quarterback coach from CSM. Gets him dialed in to go ahead and go to Michigan. Well, he goes to Michigan. He's 7th on the depth chart at Michigan and had to work his way from 7 to 6 to 5 to 4 to 3 to 2 and eventually to being the number one guy. But even when he was the number one guy, Drew Henson was always waiting in the wings, and you were wondering, man, is he going to take his job? But this is a whole nother story. But Drew Henson was playing baseball professionally while Tom was putting in the time, energy, and effort into being the Michigan quarterback. He eventually gets drafted, sixth round? Obviously passed over, has to fight to make the team, ends up making the team with the New England Patriots, and wins the backup job. Then Drew Bledsoe gets hurt, and the rest is history. We can sit here and, for the most part, agree that to this day, he is the greatest quarterback in the history of the NFL. Now, Patrick Mahomes is going to work really hard over the next decade to try to potentially upend that title that Tom now has. But if you think of the controversy and you think of all the obstacles that he had to overcome along the way, whether it was not playing on a great high school football team to having to battle his way from 7 to 6 to 5 to 4 to 3, that's not easy. And then the late round draft pick, this guy wasn't a fucking first pick overall, right? A sixth round draft pick. Many sixth round draft picks don't make the team. So it was through of all of those things. He didn't succeed in spite of them. You look back upon it now and you say, holy shit, man, Tom succeeded because of them. Those were all the things that continued to fuel him through the course of his journey. And then it was the Super Bowls. And it was something always, whether it was Deflategate, there was the knee injury that he dealt with along the way. There was always something every single season, all the detractors, all the doubters, all the haters that kept him fucking coming back. And then when you thought it was over, you thought, oh, I mean, that's it, right? New England Patriots, and how much of it was Belichick, how much of it was the Pats. Well, you know what? Then he goes to Tampa, and he's like, fuck it. I'm going to ride off into the sunset, give this thing one last shot. Now, I could be wrong on this. I don't think I am. He wanted to go to San Francisco. That's where he wanted to play. And you have the Niners who are primed to put him in a position to go ahead and win the fucking Super Bowl. Well, the Niners end up not signing him. He goes to Tampa instead, and he leads them to a fucking Super Bowl. So it's only through the controversy and all these things in which he continued to stay motivated. Because without those things, without the controversy, without the naysayers, without the doubters, I don't think he's as motivated. I just don't. So it's just been fun to watch that progression. And again, it just goes back to the Daily Hustle quote of the day, that we succeed not in spite of our problems, but because of our problems. Okay, the pick six today. We're going to do this basically in order to stay as efficient and effective as possible here with our time on No Filter Network and with the Daily Hustle. And then also give you guys relevant news, information, whatever. But basically, I forced myself to pick the top 6 stories that I want to talk about today. Some of them inspirational, some of them, most of them are going to be sports related. Every now and again, I venture out of it. But let's see how this first one goes. Let's start with Jessica Pegula. That's right. We're starting at the U.S. Open. The wild comeback that sent an American in the U.S. Open women's final. Now, Pegula, and then this is, I think, even fucking crazier, is a daughter of Terry Pegula, who is the owner of the Buffalo Bills. So I get it. It's nice to have a billionaire as your father, but we were having this conversation. I was having this conversation with Trent Tucker, buddy of mine who played professional tennis. This dude's a savage pickleball player in our community, and he also owns a tennis school. And it's like, okay, I get it. You know, does this bode well for the sport of tennis? And one argument would be, well, if you have a chick there that basically you could say adds all the resources in the world to be able to get there and to the U.S. Open, you know, fine. But what I was talking to Trent about, it's like, dude, I don't give a shit. It doesn't matter how much money you have. Could, with decent talent, could a father or a family help support a journey to professional tennis for a young athlete? And the question that is, or the answer to that is yes. I think they can. With the dedication of the kid, with the resources, whether it be a mental coach, whether it be, you know, a forehand coach, a backhand coach, and over, like, you get the gist of where I'm trying to go with this. There's certainly things that somebody with unlimited resources can do to help somebody else get to that spot. Now, that's professional tennis, right? So let's call that, I don't know, top 250, 500 players in the world. Let's just say 500. So some form of professional tennis. To be able to get that athlete to the top 50, to be able to get that athlete specifically in this situation to the finals of the U.S. Open, they can't fucking buy that. There is no amount of money that you can spend to be able to get that young athlete there. That's all up to that athlete. Not only putting in the time, energy, effort, but there also needs to be a skill set there that puts that person and puts that athlete into that top position. And then to be able to handle and deal with the pressures of a U.S. Open type tournament. Well, it's fucking amazing because Jessica Pegula has been doing this for 10 years. She turned pro at 20. She's 30 now. This is the farthest she's ever been in any tournament, and she certainly has some divine intervention. Now, yesterday, she goes into the match. She's like remarkably calm, is what the article says. And she drops the first set 6-1, and she's like, whoa, maybe I'm too calm and I'm too loose and I'm too comfortable. So she then goes down 2-0 in the second set. So this shit's almost over, right? She's going home. Well, she comes back after her opponent made it was a forehand into a net. And she goes, well, maybe this is a window of opportunity for me. And then she comes back and she wins that set and then fucking wins the next set. Now she's going to the U.S. Open final. So Jessica Pegula, just awesome to see. For the first time in a long time, we will have an American in both the men's and women's final at the U.S. Open. Okay, second story here. More than a toe. You guys are going to think I'm crazy for this one. So the article's talking about the gap between the Chiefs and the Ravens. If you saw the game last night, fantastic game. But clearly, like, you don't have to be a football fan to notice that the Ravens were the much better fucking hold on, retract. That the Chiefs were the much better football team. And it wasn't even close. Was not even close. Everything they did. They looked like the champs, right? It was impressive to watch. So then Lamar Jackson at the end of the game comes down, and I don't want to say miraculously, but He leads the Ravens to one play left. What are they about? Around the 10-yard line. And in the back of the end zone, he hits his receiver. Well, it looked like the Ravens had tied the game up. And then they go to replay. And upon further review, they figure out that the toe was on the line. The question is this: is this enough evidence to overturn an on-field touchdown call? Now, everybody has universally agreed, of course, the toe's on the line. The toe's on the line. I've looked at this and continue to look at this over and over and over again, and I've got to question, is that toe really on the fucking line? I need to know the rule of whether or not the toe is over the line or is it on the line. Because if over the line is okay and on the line is not, I don't think you can overturn this call. There is clearly some sort of gap of air between the toe and the fucking line. Nobody has brought this up. And everybody that I've brought this up to thinks I'm fucking crazy. So then, of course, I relate it back to pickleball. And when you're standing on the kitchen line, if you're not touching the kitchen line, it's my understanding that you're not on the kitchen line. So the toe, which if we're just standing on the ground, naturally flares up, is hovering over the line, that's fine. But if it's on the line, it's not. This is hovering over the fucking line. This is not on the line. So, as a Ravens bettor last night, which I was, I'm obviously a little biased, so I want to be transparent with you guys. But I still think the toe's not on the fucking line. I'm done with that. I'm done. I'm not going to say anymore. People legitimately think I'm crazy for this. But whatever. Fuck off. All right. The next story that we got here. The week 1 predictions for the NFL. We're going to kind of rip through these just for time purposes. Packers at Eagles. This is Friday, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. I believe this game's played in fucking Brazil, which is wild. But it is -2.5. Philly -2.5. OU 49.5. Packers storyline to watch. Only the Titans picked off fewer passes last season than the Packers, 7. So we'll see how the secondary does. Eagles storyline to watch. Running back Saquon Barkley makes his Eagles debut, so that should be fun to see. Bold prediction here. Eagles wide receiver A.J. Brown will record 100 or more receiving yards. The Eagles offense versus the Packers defense pits 2 new schemes against each other. So there's a lot of unknowns. With that uncertainty, I want to bet on a player's skill, which Brown has an abundance of. He's recorded 80-plus open score in ESPN's receiver tracking metrics in each of the past 3 seasons. So no matter the system, he will be open. These are all really well done. All right, so these are ESPN's picks. Packers 28-24. That's from Collard. Moody says Packers 30, Eagles 23. Walter says Eagles 24, Packers 23. The FPI prediction says Philly has a 57.5% chance of winning. And they have the average of 3.2 points. So if you look at the FBI prediction, the obvious play here is Philly. It looks like the experts, so, are on the Packers. All right, Steelers at Falcons. I believe this is coming Sunday, 1 p.m. on Fox. the bold prediction: Steelers cornerback Joey Porter Jr. will record an interception. I don't need these bold predictions. Let's just go to the FBI prediction. Atlanta has a 58.8% chance of winning the game by an average of 3.1 points. So that is Steelers at Falcons and Atlanta minus 3.5. Looks like you go either way there. How about the Cardinals at the Bills, 1 p.m. on Sunday? It's Bills minus 6.5. OU's 48.5. Going down to the bottom to the FBI prediction, Buffalo has a 67.7% chance of winning by an average of 7.3 points. I like Buffalo on the money line there. They're not dropping this one. Patriots at the Bengals. It's Cincinnati minus 8.5. Ooh, that is a big line. If you're in a survivor pool, that might be the pick. Cincinnati minus 8.5, 40.5. The FPI prediction is Cincy, 75% chance to win the game, and the model says they win by an average of 10.5 points. So it looks like Cincy would be the play there. How about the Titans at the Bears? Let's not forget the Pats without Bill Belichick for the first time. It feels like ever. Titans at the Bears. It's Chicago minus 3.5. Really, 44.5 is the OU. The FPI prediction: Chicago will win 64.6% of the time, the computer says, by an average of 6 points. So it looks like Chicago could be the play. Texans at Colts. You got Houston minus 3, 48.5 is the OU. Remember, the Texans had that breakout season last year. A lot of people wondering how well they're going to do in their sophomore campaign. 53.7% of the time they got Houston winning on the computer model by an average of 1.3 points. Looks like this one is going to be tight. How about the Jags at the Dolphins? It's Miami minus 3.5, 48.5 is the OU. The FBI prediction: Miami will win 59.8% of the time by an average of 4.5 points is what the model says. I like Miami. It's in Miami. They have weapons up and down. Panthers at Saints. New Orleans minus 4. OU is 41.5. The model says New Orleans will win this 64.4% of the time and by an average of 5.9 points. So apparently New Orleans would be the play. How about the Vikings at the Giants? Minnesota minus 1.5, 41.5 is the OU. The FPI in this one says the Giants will win 50% of the time, 49.9%, by an average of 0.3 points. Yeah, I don't know. Really want to bet on the fucking Giants? Not really. Raiders at Chargers. You got the Chargers minus 3, 40.5 is the OU for Jim Harbaugh's debut. The prediction says the Chargers will win 63% of the time by an average of 5.2 points. So computer-wise, at least, it looks like the Chargers would be the play. How about the Cowboys at the Browns? This should be a fun one. Cleveland minus 2.5. The OU in this one is 40.5. The FBI prediction says Dallas wins 51% of the time. I'd take Dallas here. Fuck it. Right? At the Browns. The Browns had a decent season last year, but Dallas, you just never know what you're going to get. You know? I mean, they have the potential to be the best team in the NFL. So if Dak comes out firing and that's the case, look out. I would certainly have no qualms about taking them at Cleveland. The Commanders at the Bucks. We have Tampa minus 3.5 at 42.5 is the OU. Then you got the FPI predictor here. Tampa wins 62% of the time by an average of 5 points. So it looks like the Bucks at home would be the play. How about the Rams and the Lions? Let's not forget the Lions were so fucking close to going to the Super Bowl last season. It's Detroit minus 4.5 at home. The OU, I figured this would be a big one. Two really good offenses. 52.5 the FBI prediction model says Detroit would win 63% of the time by an average of 5.2 points. So it looks like the line is right on there. How about the Jets at the 49ers? Jets, Jets. SF minus 4.5. That's it. Remember Aaron Rodgers. Oh, this could be a fun one. This will be a fun one. This is Monday night, 8:20 p.m. Eastern. Shit. I'm going to the Bay. This might be worth sticking around and going to the game. The FBI prediction says San Francisco wins 64% of the time, an average of 6 points. I'll take the fucking Niners. Why not? And then that's it for all the games. Should be fun to see how the first week plays out. Okay. We have a woman who lost her leg a year ago. This is a fascinating story. American swimmer wins silver in the Paralympics 1 year after losing her leg in a shark attack. A woman who lost her leg in a shark attack won silver medal at the 2024 Paralympics in Paris. Allie Truitt, a Connecticut native, took home the silver medal Thursday in the women's swimming 400-meter freestyle. Just 1 year ago in May 2023, Truitt was on a post-college graduation vacation with her best friend, the Turks and Caicos, when she was attacked by a shark. The first time I got back in the water was July a year ago. Truitt said, Good Morning America. In August ahead of the Paralympics, I got back in with a floaty around my stomach because we weren't sure how I was going to respond in the water again, and now I'm headed to the Paralympics. She added, to represent my country is just an incredible kind of journey that makes me feel so proud and really grateful. Truitt said she was with a friend when they were out snorkeling when a shark appeared seemingly out of nowhere and started to attack them. We fought back, but pretty quickly the shark had my leg in its mouth, and the next thing I knew, it had bitten off my foot and part of my leg. Truitt said she was, and her friend had to swim 75 yards back to the snorkeling boat. Once on the boat, Truitt said her friend tied a tourniquet to her leg to stop the bleeding. Truitt was eventually airlifted to a hospital in Miami where she underwent 2 life-saving surgeries. She was later transported to a hospital in New York to be close to her family and friends at home, where she underwent a trans-tribal amputation of her leg. Surgery took place May 31st, 2023, Truitt's 23rd birthday. Very dark day, she recounted. But I'm alive, and that's what I try to focus on and kind of just live the life that I've been given to the fullest. After her amputation, the prosthetic leg helped provide Truitt with better mobility, although she said she faced challenges adapting to her new normal. I'm relearning life without an ankle, she explained. I have to learn to sit again, to stand again, to walk again, and run, and how to do stairs and everyday challenges. Truitt says she also faced pain in her leg, as well as a risk of infection, and struggle emotionally in addition to the physical limitations. So anyway, so cool. Overcoming all that adversity, dealing with what life gives us. And I just think that's a fucking awesome example. I mean, just a year ago, a fucking year ago, she has her leg amputated, and a year later, she's winning silver in the 400 at the Paralympics. Amazing. All right, MLB. Hold tight. We're also brought to you by Verge. Go to tryverge.com. Talk to my guy Jory over there. This is lemon, cannabis, honey. Listen to my throat, like instantly clear up. And it's not going to make you high. That gives you a nice little euphoric feeling, but nothing too much. A good little shot of energy. The Mets have won 7 in a row. And with the Braves' loss last night, they're now tied for the 3rd wild card spot. This is incredible. The Mets were not supposed to be this good. They were supposed to be decent. I remember, looking at it and said they'd be about 500. And if you remember earlier this year, there's a fucking debacle, the reliever that was talking shit. He's like, "Oh, we're the worst team in baseball." This and then they got his ass out of there. But it was dire times in Queens, and all of a sudden, boom, Francisco Lindor turns into a fucking MVP candidate, and they've been playing lights out. Completely have come together as a team that they've done a terrific job over there. So the New York Mets are now in prime position to make the playoffs. Fangraphs still gives them only I think it was like a 36% chance of making the playoffs. So I'm sure Mets fans are going to feel like it's a major disappointment if they don't. I'm looking at it like, look, you're playing with the house's money. Yesterday it was 1-0 Reds over the Astros. The umpires fucked up another play. I can't believe how many reviews are missed in New York. I mean, it's really, really bad. So I think it was Bregman got hit. They called it a foul ball in the field. They go to New York. Bregman's like, look, dude, I got hit. And they go back to New York to confirm their play. And they're like, no, it's a foul ball. Bregman's like, what the fuck? No. So I think Joey Espada ended up getting thrown out. But regardless, the Astros didn't score any runs. They didn't deserve to win. They go down 1-0. The Twins 4-3 over the Rays. Yesterday, it was a Mariners 6-4 over the A's. The Giants finally took a game. They had been scuffling 3-2 over the D-backs despite the Snell performance that was just one inning but was shoddy defense. Behind the Pirates, 9-4 over the Nats. Marlins go down to the Phillies at home, 5-2. The Braves at home lose to the Rockies. The Braves are in trouble. I mean, you just got all the momentum in the world of the Mets coming up. You asked me who I think is going to make the playoffs, the Braves or the Mets right now, I'm going to say the fucking Mets. I've seen this movie before. They have some serious momentum on their side, and it's all about who can get hot down the stretch. And right now, the Mets are fucking in fuego. Rangers 3-1 over the Angels. It's a nice win. It's probably it's too little too late for the defending world champs. And then last night, the Padres had a 3-0 lead in the ninth inning, 2 outs, like down to their last strike. I mean, you can't make this shit up. And then Parker Meadows hits a go-ahead grand slam to put the Tigers up 4-3. They end up winning. The Padres drop to 80-62. Hey, is it a big deal? I don't know. Mike Schilt was talking about at the end. He's like, look, we try to put our kids in position to succeed. We play hard every single night. Sometimes shit happens. And, well, that's exactly what happened. So the standings right now, you got the division leaders, Baltimore, Cleveland, and Houston. Those are all your division leaders in the American League. And then you have the Yankees, Twins, and Royals pretty much locking up the wild card spot. I don't think a whole lot's going to change. Detroit's sitting there at 71-70. They're 5 back. Mariners are 5 back at 71-70 as well. The Red Sox are 70-70, so it would just take a fucking small miracle. Red Sox, by the way, have lost 5 in a row. They're fucking done. And then in the National League, so the playoff picture is pretty clear, right? I mean, now the Yankees could overtake Baltimore and shake it up that way. But you could also have somehow Kansas City or Texas or Minnesota take over Cleveland. That's possible. But other than that, shit's just not changing. Those are your playoff teams. The Orioles, the Indians, the Astros, the Yankees, the Twins, and Kansas City. That should be fun. And then the National League, you got the Dodgers on top of the West, the Phillies on top of the East, the Brewers on top of the Central. And then you have San Diego and Arizona locking up the first 2 wild card spots. Arizona's not that comfortable, nor San Diego. I mean, they're 3 up on the Braves and the Mets. So theoretically, something could change there. The Cubs are only 4 back. St. Louis is 5 back. Yeah. Giants, I 7.5 back. They're done. It's football season, as Henry posted on No Filter Network the other day. If you're a San Francisco Giants fan. But we shall see how that ends up shaking up a little more room for up and back, whatever. And then lastly here, tracking Ohtani's path to 50-50 season and beyond. So ever since arriving to Major League Baseball 2018, Shohei Ohtani has pushed boundaries of what a single baseball player is capable of doing while rehabbing for an elbow injury, keeping Ohtani off the mound in 2023. The Dodgers DH is finding other ways. 2023, 2024 is the actual year that we're in. Thank you, MLB.com. 1 year, this is what's fascinating. 1 year after Atlanta's Ronald Acuna Jr. established the 40-70 club, Ohtani is on his way to making history by his own by smashing home runs and swiping bags at blistering pace. The 30-year-old has already reached the previously elusive 40-40 mark faster than any other player. And he hasn't stopped there. On August 30th, he became the first player with at least 43 home runs and 43 stolen bases. So how high can Ohtani go? Here's a look at it. Right now, Shohei Ohtani has 44 home runs and 46 stolen bases. He is on pace for 51 homers and 53 bags. That then poses a question. What's more impressive? Acuna's 40-70 from last season, or if Ohtani is able to reach the 50-50. I don't think there's any question he's going to get the stolen bases. Home runs are tough. They come in bunches. Now, you also have to remember, as things tighten up and these become must-win games down the stretch, and you have these teams fighting, scratching, clawing, like teams like San Diego, teams like Arizona, to get into the playoffs, they're not going to fucking pitch to them. They come up in a big spot. I'm not giving them anything to hit. No chance. So I certainly don't think it's a guarantee, but I'd actually probably say, I mean, if he's on pace for 51 and 53, you would say, okay, yeah. I think the bags are no problem. He's going to get the bags just because he's going to get on base. And again, down this stretch run, people are not going to want to give up the long ball to Shohei Ohtani. Regardless, I think I'd take the 50-50. No one's ever done 50-50. I mean, no one ever did 40-70. But 50-50? 50-50? Remember how big we do 40-40 was? I mean, we're talking like a whole nother month of production it would take to get to 50-50. So, really impressive with Ohtani. And there you go. There's my pick six and all the shit I want to talk about. Everyone have a fantastic weekend. We got flag football tonight, Stanford football tomorrow, pickleball mixed in between. And then, lastly here, so I didn't read this article. I didn't go searching for it. But I got a call from my mother this morning. And she said, honey, are you coming to town for an A's game? I'm like, oh, yeah, Sunday. I'm going to go to the Coliseum, and I think it's a little autograph thing, and I'm supposed to throw out the first pitch. Adam Rosales is also going to be there, former A's player. And I said, it'd kind of be a cool way to say farewell to the Coliseum, I guess. I said, yeah, I plan on being there. She goes, oh. She goes, because I got a Google alert telling me that you were going to be there, and I didn't know you were coming in town. And the Google alert was an article saying that they're not sure how you're going to be received back at the Coliseum because you've made some comments about how, hey, it might be more convenient for you to go to a game in Sacramento or Las Vegas than it is actually Oakland. And you think it's okay that the A's are leaving. And I'm like, okay, well, if that's the case, I mean, yeah, those are all things that I certainly have said before. Now, I want to go on record, and hopefully everybody will understand, I much prefer the A's stay in Oakland. Had the city of Oakland and the A's ownership group figured out a fucking way to make it happen over the past 24 years since I first got called up with the Oakland A's. Well, it's been a quarter of a century and they couldn't figure it out. We also know that the A's needed a new home. So it's just basically got to this point where it's like, shit or get off the fucking pot. And nobody shit. So they had to get off the pot. So they're going to go to Sacramento. We believe they're going to go to Vegas. And that is the result. But that doesn't change my feelings for Oakland. That doesn't make me believe that they're better off in these other spots. I love Oakland. I grew up going to those games. Oakland will always have a special place in my heart. The Coliseum will always have a special place in my heart. And I wasn't the best player by any means. But the one thing I will tell you is that each and every single time I took that field, I realized how grateful I was to play Major League Baseball in the city of Oakland, in the Coliseum, representing a team and a fan base that literally was my backyard growing up. So it's okay. Look, if A's fans want to boo me because of some comments I made or some honesty, I'm okay with that. But I do want everyone who is an Oakland A's fan to understand I left my fucking balls on the line and every single time I took that field. I gave that team and that organization everything I had to the point where when I got traded, I cried. I literally just, I don't say like a baby, but it hurt. And I think it took some time to get over. That was my family. That was my baseball family. But I loved Oakland and still do. And I'm still rooting for the city. And hopefully baseball will be back there at some point. I don't think there's any question, though, something needed to change immediately with the situation that they have going on there. Now, there's been some cool things, whether it's Butler or Rooker with the A's this year, that I think have given a lot of people hope. And the A's have always been a fantastic organization. I love Mark Kotsay. I love the coaching staff that they've assembled, whether it's Bobby Crosby or Mike Andretti. There's a lot of love this way, guys. A lot. And, once again, I fought my ass off every fucking time I took that field. And I wasn't always going to give you the best performance, but I was going to give you each and every single piece of my heart and all of my energy and all of my effort. And I think, when you walk away and you say at the end of the day, whether the numbers are what the numbers are, we didn't win a championship. Yeah, would have loved to. I think we had the best team in baseball at least one, if not two or even three of those years. But I think you measure a person's character by the effort that they put in. And, ideally when people look back upon my time in Oakland, hopefully they'll be able to see that. So that's it. Everyone have a fantastic weekend. See ya on Monday.